Hello there folks, welcome back to another RPG Maker MV guide. This one I want to make a really short one, although I kind of don't have a habit of having very short videos. This video I want to be the first of a series of videos. I don't know if I'll drop them all in one day, most likely not, but this will be a short series of short videos preferably, in which I show people how to use scripts in order to achieve a certain thing. Now this is gonna be an introduction, okay, and well, each of them will be, I'm not gonna show necessarily complex things to do, but this video will be about how to use switches and variables. Okay, now I also have MV, but that takes a long while to load, so MZ is much faster. And when it comes to the scripts of variables and switches, okay, it's basically the same. I only saw 3 scripts that didn't seem to work in MZ, so most likely they have a slightly changed syntax, which I'm not yet interested in discovering because I'm not using MZ for the moment. So if someone wants to change the value of a switch with a script, all one has to do is write gameVariables.setValue. okay, and now in here we have 2 things that we have to write. We have to write the value of the ID, let's say 12. Okay, the zeros before the 12 are never included, and then we have true. Okay, if you want to turn the switch on, or you can write you can write false if you want the switch to be false. If you want to put it into a conditional in the script, all you have to do is write if let's actually write it because it's not hard. Game switches dot value, okay, and we have, let's say, 12 again. Okay, and what you will see most people do is they say equals true, okay, and then you have your code in here, okay, and you finish the conditional. Now this is probably a bit trickier if you don't know how to use code or how to use the scripts, but if you follow the types, if you follow such guides, you will get to learn a bit of the scripts. How to use them in more complex ways, well, you'll have to learn that. Unfortunately, there aren't too many RPG guides, at least I haven't seen too many, nor have I looked too much. Okay, now what happens in here, in case you know a bit of programming, okay, this thing you don't necessarily need to write entirely, okay, you need to just write this. Okay, now why do I say this? Okay, because what happens in the background, okay, in your background, this condition, okay, is taken into account through one variable that simply loads the value of this one. Okay, this is a temporary variable which is created just for the purpose of verifying this, and it is deleted at the end, okay, at the end of verifying this condition, because in order for any conditional to work in programming languages, they have to be true. If they're not true, well, then they won't trigger. Okay, so you have this value loaded into a temporary variable. Now this temporary variable obviously can only be true or false, okay, because it's a value of a switch, and a switch is a boolean value which can only be true or false. Okay, enter any other value in here and you'll be met with a nasty error. Okay, now when you create this, okay, when you have this comparison, okay, you also have another variable here. Okay, this is basically the value of a variable. Okay, now what happens with this true is the system in the background creates another variable which loads the value of this. Okay, and then what happens is let's say function compare, okay, and we have 2 parameters, x and y. Okay, these 2 are loaded in here. Okay, and then you will have something like return x equals y. Okay, now what this means is this function will actually assume the role of comparing x with y, is basically it's what happens in here. Now furthermore, okay, this function is basically another variable is created to load the value of this function in, and again x equals y. When you have a comparison, it can be, you know, true or false. Okay, it can be true or false. Why? Because, well, it is a comparison. X can be higher than y, so this x equals y is false. X can be smaller or higher than y, okay, so it's false. Or x can actually be equal to y, which returns true. Okay, so all this thing basically becomes your z. Okay, becomes this one. Now if z is true, your condition will automatically trigger. Okay, if it is false, it won't trigger, because basically what a conditional requires, okay, it just requires if true. Okay, if you write just this, if true, this will always trigger because the condition in here is always true. Okay, so let's actually not dive into too many details, but that's basically it. Okay, when you change the value, you use setValue and you attribute it, the first parameter is the ID of the switch. Okay, 1, 12, 100, 1000, depends on what is, and you never write the zeros in front. And then you have false or true, okay, which is the value you want the switch to set to. Okay, it doesn't matter what value it has now, this one sets it to it. Okay, so yeah, well, what basically happens is this one is also loaded in another, you know, temporary variable. Okay, but this one doesn't matter because this one is basically a function that, well, let's not dive too much into JavaScript. Okay, so this is basically what you need to do for a switch. Okay, you change its value, and if you want to view it in a conditional, okay, this is what you have to do. Okay, now what and yes, if you want it to check it whether it is true, you can simply write it like this. It's not a problem. What happens if you want to check it whether it is false? Well, if it is false, it actually does the same thing. Okay, this one is still loaded in a variable, this value is loaded in another variable, and then you have the comparison x checks y. Okay, if this switch is true, okay, it is not equals with false, so therefore your z, okay, will be false. If the condition is false, this conditional, this bit of code won't trigger. Now if this one is, so wait, yes, if this one is false, okay, false equals false, so the condition will be true, right? So how can you actually use variables in different ways? Well, you can use variables even in text boxes. Okay, but this is something that probably you know. If you keep your cursor in here, you will see this pop-up appear, and you will see the first line is /vn. Okay, so let's say you can say you have x gold. Okay, now if you want to load a variable's value in a text box, what you have to do is /v and load the value, the variable. Okay, the variable's ID, let's say 12, okay, or 1, it can be 100. Okay, you can use this in a choice, for example, as well. You have /v, let's say 12 gold. Okay, but again, this is not this doesn't have any, you know, scripts in it. Now I'm not sure if you can actually write in here /gameVariables.value 12 gold. Could it actually work? I don't know. Let's actually test it for you know, like game variables. Let's say we said 12. Okay, so let's give 12 I don't know, set value 2. Okay, let's actually apply. Okay, and let's actually hit enter. We're gonna set the starting player position in here. Let's actually start this and check this last detail. Okay, and well, okay, that's another event I've created. Okay, so it definitely doesn't say much. Okay, let's see. if I actually pick this one, let's actually show text and put this one in here. Let's actually save. Okay, this one loads so like instantly compared to my project, which is huge. So yeah, okay, that's a 10-second timer. Okay, so it doesn't load it unless you have /v. Okay, so well, enough for this video. Let's see, did I actually cover like everything? Wait, I didn't cover variables. Okay, so in order for variables, okay, what you have to do is you have to write game variables, okay, dot set value, okay, and again you have the ID, let's say, I don't know, 100, and then you write the value that you want. Okay, let's say, I don't know, you change it 1. Okay, what if you want to do, I don't know, set it to variable +1? Okay, like you know, in programming you'd have C++, or let's actually say I++. Okay, C++, let's not confuse it with the other programming language. Okay, so if you want to use I++, all you have to do is, well, you can write something like this, and then you write in here gameVariables.value, okay, 100 plus 1. Okay, so this is basically what you're loading in. Okay, this is the original value of 100, and the new value of 100 will be this one plus 1. Okay, or any formula that you put in here. Okay, because again, this here is a set of calculations that can occur and will be loaded in the value of this ID. Okay, if you want to do this in a, you know, like a more accessible way, you can simply say var x equals this. Okay, it would be somewhat preferable, even if you create a, you know, an extra variable. Then you can simply delete this one and say x plus 1. It's kind of the same thing. Okay, and depends, you can have, I don't know, if you want a mathematical equation, you can say y equals I don't know, the value of 99, and now you want 100 to be 99 plus 1. Okay, you have 99 plus 1. Okay, or I don't know, you can have multiplied by 6. Okay, or you can have modulo, okay, d. Okay, and what this does basically is you know, it divides, so it's y divided by x. Okay, and what it returns is actually not a result. Okay, it returns the remainder, or I don't know exactly what it is called. So let's say we have 10 divided by 3. Okay, and if you look at the calculator in here, when you have 10 divided by 3, okay, what it returns is this. Okay, the remainder. Okay, so it returns equals 3. Okay, that's what technically it returns. Now yeah, that should be it. In case you want to use conditionals, again, you can use it like this, equals, let's say 6, or whatever value you need. Okay, or you can use, you know, like this, if x equals 6. Okay, then you can also use for either switches or, you know, for variables, you could use multiple conditionals into one. That's a point. So let's say I want this one to be 100 and you know, this one to be 99, let's say their current IDs. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to have a parenthesis for this one, because this is technically a value on its own, which is basically, this one is a value, this one is another value, and this is, you know, gonna be compared one against the other, and basically this one ends up as a value. And what I'm interested in is these, okay, have to be this certain value. Okay, like let's say you're gonna be 6, this one is gonna be 7. Okay, now I'm gonna close the parentheses, okay, because first of all this big one is the parentheses that are required by the if conditional. Then what I'm having in here is two values. Okay, so okay, value, wait, 100, and I want you to be 7. So when I use this, okay, it means that this conditional will only trigger if this value is equal 6 and this one equals 7. If any of this one fails to be equal to the required value, then the conditional doesn't trigger. Okay, when you use and, both values, or again you can actually add as many as you want in a chain. You can actually say, okay, just like in my video game, I also need I don't know, variable 24 to be equal to 12, let's say, and again you can actually add as many as possible. But when you use and, it means you want all of them to be true. Okay, if you use or, okay, if you use or, this means that any of these three has to be real. Okay, any of these three has to be true. It doesn't matter if the others are false. If any of these is true, then your condition triggers. Okay, now again, if you are you know, feeling a bit overwhelmed by writing this much, you can actually, you know, like do something like this as well. But using scripts is, you know, like, I don't necessarily like using them. It's just that I use them when I need a bit more optimization. Okay, now with scripts you can also use something called minification. You know, when you minify things, basically in the script box you can only have 12 rows of code, and basically you write them in a text file, you put them on the internet. The action is called I don't know, you just write JavaScript minify, something like that, and you get a text box. You write all your code in there, and then you press minify. Okay, it's let's actually load something like this, JavaScript minify, but only minify your code when okay, what the fuck is wrong with this stupid... Okay, so you can write here as much code as you want, and you click minify, and then you copy what you have in here and you paste it in a script box. It's all gonna be written in a single line. Okay, so make sure that you write your code correctly before you minify it, because after that, if you don't also copy paste your code into a text, because you might have some mistakes and you want to modify the original code, if you lose your original code, you'll have to write it again. Okay, so yeah, let's actually wrap it in here, because I don't want this video to be long, and this I want to be just an introduction. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully it you know, it serves you right in your endeavors, in your game designs and development. Keep up the good work. You are loved and appreciated. Whatever you're doing is the best you can at the right pace for you, so don't rush things, because you know, you can't learn much if you rush. And at the same time, if you overwork yourself, you're not gonna reach too great results, because you're gonna simply overwhelm yourself. Okay, so all these being considered, take care. You are loved and appreciated. Ferenc Board signing out.